Hello, 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 everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome to day 6 of Unfiltered December. I am Jasmine and I am so excited to be here with you all. I do not intend to be before you long tonight. But if y'all will just come on in and say hello when you get here, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very happy to be here. And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into this affirmation. We're going to get into this affirmation. So far, we have had our first 5 days. We have had our first 5 days. Hello. We've had our first 5 days of affirmations from the very beginning of December. As you come in, I want you to tell me how you feeling so far. We've passed our first 5 days. I want to know how you feeling so far. So come on in and say hello and tag your people and share it around, and let's get into this. Let's get into it because I know I've been having myself a time. I know I have been learning and having a lot of like, whoa, that's it. That's intense and also very in my business. Lots of those moments. Uh, so tell me if this is not your first day. Tell me how you are handling. How are you doing with the affirmations so far? I was with y'all on day 2 and I'm back again for day 6 today. So if you would come on in and say hello and share, tag your people and share. I support all of the thing, all of the sharing. It is giving me all the things. It is giving me all the things as well. It is giving me all the things. I have I have scream laughed. Um, I have been on the verge of tears. I have been like offended in the best way. Lots of amens and ouches, lots of oh my gosh, it's like you're reading my actual mail right now. It was a lot of those. Mostly it's a lot of those. I feel like I spent a lot of each of these nights being like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. When you say it like that, well, when you say it like that, like it's been a lot of that. I feel like that's been my overall general experience thus far, and it's been so good. Oh, it's been so good. My God. So I'm really excited about coming in here and giving y'all day 6. Today's affirmation, as you can see, ticking along. Always have to remember that it's reversed. And as you can see, ticking along at the bottom of your screen, day 6's affirmation is: my feet are like Hinds' feet and made to climb my mountain. My feet are like Hinds' feet and made to climb my mountain. And this can seem like a very odd statement to say because we don't refer to our feet typically in our affirmations, and we don't typically refer to Hinds' feet. Um, but I promise you, this is an affirmation that is like, it is so pointed for whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're going through, whatever your circumstance, whatever your mountain, specifically whatever your mountain, this is for you. Now, we've gone through our first several days where we have had Takesha on the first day with God will be glorified in all that I do. I came at y'all on the second day, and we just gonna run it back real quick because um, thank you to Dr. Gibson. Dr. Queen Gibson, um, for giving us a little cheat sheet. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I love referencing said little cheat sheet, because even as a facilitator, sometimes I need something to look at to refresh my memory so I can keep track of things. You know what I'm saying? And so, hey, Dana, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Tag your people, share, enjoy. Anyway, the I enjoy a little cheat sheet. You know what I'm saying? It's just me myself personally. Um, and then on day 3, we had Gabby come in, Dr. Gibson came in with obstacles are divine invitations, which I am currently in the middle of my replay of that one right now, actually. And so I actually am very much so looking forward to finishing that lesson, because I was able to take in what she was saying, but I was like, I was working backstage, you know what I'm saying? So I was trying to stay engaged. Um, but now I get to get it for real, for real, for me. And I'm really excited about that. It's already so good. Okay. Then on day four, we had Allison, who brought us the affirmation, if it is not already well, it shall be. And it was such an encouragement to my heart and a reminder that, like, if it is not well, it is not done. If it is not good, God is not through with it yet. If it is not well, it shall be. It was such a good balm to my heart. And then on day 5, we had Mrs. Glidden again. Takesha Glidden started us off on day 1, and then she, rounded us out on day 5 yesterday with the affirmation, rest is my birthright. And when I tell you that she ate us up so good, it was so ouch and so amen, that it was truly, truly, truly the word of the Lord. Honestly, it was the word of the Lord. The way that she brought that word, the way that she broke it down, the way that she gave insight, the way that the Lord spoke to us about facilitating rest as like a, hey, this is your birthright, but also that busyness that you keep wrapping yourself up in, that's your choice. Clutches pearls. Because what? Hey, Cece, my Selena, my Cece. I love you so much. You always make me so happy just seeing your name in the chat. Um, so today is day 6, and today's affirmation, my feet are like Hinds' feet and made to climb my mountain. And I just would like to say that I think it is very, very funny. Your name is Selena, but also I feel like if you wanted to show up in a room as like an alter ego, so to speak, I don't agree with necessarily that. But if you're gonna be somebody, if you're gonna change your name, Cecilia also works. If you decided to switch it up for a day or something. Anyway, we love us some CC in here. We love all of y'all that come in here. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey to those that are tuning in from YouTube. Comment down below what your takeaways are from today, and share it with a friend. I just feel like maybe why not share it to the last 5 people that you texted? I'm just saying. And if somebody sent this to you, share it share it with the last 5 people that you texted. But anyway, let's get into it. We have talked about all of the things so far. We have gotten into God being glorified and forgiving ourselves. Oh my gosh, I skipped right over myself when I was laying it out. I skipped right over myself. I did day 2. And day 2's affirmation is I forgive my former self and commit fully to my future self. I skipped right over myself. Wow. All right. Um, and so we talked about God being glorified and forgiving ourselves, and uh, recognizing an obstacle as an opportunity for divine invitation. It is God calling us into the more. We have talked about things, whether they are well or whether they are on their way to being well. We have talked about, hallelujah, hallelujah. We've talked about the power of rest and how rest is our birthright, and functioning from a posture of rest. Today, we are talking about climbing our mountain and what that looks like, and how we're not just climbing our mountain, because when you think about your life, you think about your life circumstances, you think about the mountain that is before you. I know that I'm not the only one that at almost any given point in time in my life, I have been able to identify a mountain. If you feel me, let me know in the comments. If this has been you, if you at any point in your life are like, I know what the mountain is right now. I know what the mountain is right now. Then let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Hey Brianna. Let me know in the chat. Talk back to me. Let me know. Okay? Because I can identify at least 2 mountains right now that I'm just like, what you mean? That I'm made to climb this mountain. And before I get too deep into my thought train here, when you think about a mountain, you think about a mountainscape, you think about, like, from a distance, it's really beautiful. You think of a mountainscape, you see like the rolling hills, you see the heights, and you see the valleys, and you see the snow caps, and you see the difference in color, and you can see the greenery at the bottom of it, and you can see the rockiness in the middle. But from a distance, you don't see any of that. You just see a beautiful, seemingly perfect mountainscape. Yeah, just lining up along the ridgeway, along the horizon, creating beautiful sunsets and sunrises, right? It looks gorgeous. It's amazing. It's awe-inspiring. But when we talk about getting up close and you think about climbing a mountain as a person, as a human, like, you think about you think about climbing Mount Everest and realizing that you are not allowed to climb Mount Everest. One, you're not allowed to climb it by yourself specifically. So when we say you're not allowed, I'm saying you're not allowed to climb Mount Everest by yourself. You are recommended by some, required by most to travel with a team. It is a completely different, yes, it is a completely different ball game climbing a mountain versus observing it from afar. When we talk about climbing a mountain, we're talking about the gear. Let's say from a human perspective, from how we understand climbing a mountain from a human perspective, you need hooks and cords. You need um like there's specific boots um that have spikes in the toe for the different type of mountain that you're climbing. There are specific types of clothing that you need to wear. There's specific types of food that you need to carry with you. And and random thing that I learned the other day, that you actually, not because of the temperature on the mountain, but because of the air pressure on the mountain, your cooking times are completely different temperatures, because water does not boil at the same temperature on a height of a mountain. It's actually it's a far lower boiling point on the top of a mountain because of the air pressure. Science. So you lower the it takes less time for the water to boil, but it still hasn't reached that higher temperature, so it takes longer to cook your food if you're boiling something on a mountain. It's the science, okay? Altitude, so the amount of air that you're getting, the oxygen that you're getting. Let me tell you something, a little something funny. Going to Dick's Sporting Goods and going to their little checkout aisle. You know how all the stores, they have like a little section at the end when you're about to go to the register and they just sell you what seems like random stuff. Do you know that they sell bottled premium oxygen in that aisle? Brianna said, come on. I was just going to say the air pressure is really different when you get up high. Yes, because you're on it. You know what I'm talking about. We're talking about altitude. We're talking about the pressure. We're talking about all of that stuff, right? When we talk about getting up that high, the air quality is so poor for the human body that if you have any kind of issue with breathing, if you struggle with any kind of issues with breathing, if you have any kind of respiratory, first of all, if you climb in a mountain with a respiratory issue, you climbing it literally exclusively by faith. A physical mountain, you climbing it by faith. It's you and Jesus on that mountainside. Okay. But they sell bottled oxygen that is the purified air that we breathe, like a purified version of the air that we breathe here on the ground without the contaminants and all of that stuff in it, to carry with you up to the top of the mountain. So that way, when you get up there and if you're a person who is struggling to breathe, you can inhale from that bottle and get the quality of air that you need. Like, it, come on. Bottled oxygen, what's easy to access on the ground, has a cost of high. Yes. Okay. Whew. Everybody relax. Everybody relax. Okay. When we talk about climbing a mountain, everything changes. Let's start with the fact that you could walk around. I mean, it would not be, necessarily 100% safe, but you could walk around barefoot at the base of a mountain. Selena says, when NFL games take place in Denver, the opposing team is usually using oxygen during the game because the Broncos players are acclimated to the altitude. What? I did not know. I did not know. That's such I love fun facts. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um so when we talk about climbing a mountain, we talk about the different levels. We talk about what's needed at each level, right? You could, in theory, walk around barefoot at the base of a mountain. It's the valley. It's green. It's lush, usually. There's lots of plants and animals, and the ground is soft, and there's branches and things like that. So if you lived in that environment, it wouldn't be a problem for you to just move around with whatever shoes you happen to have, or if you didn't have shoes, you'd acclimate to the environment and you would not need shoes, right? It's also a low place, right? The base of a mountain is the valley. And when we talk about the mountaintop, usually we're talking about very, like, when we talk about it in in life and in our spiritual life, we're talking about reaching the height, the highest of heights, the like the zenith, if you will. There's like, you're reaching the peak of this place and you can see everything and it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's all of these things, right? And there's a cost to get there. You cannot go there alone. You can't go there alone. You imagine climbing a mountain by yourself, especially a mountain that has various types of terrain, various types of climates, various types of temperatures. We're talking about completely different experiences from one portion of the mountain to the next, to the next, to the next. We're talking about completely different environments. You cannot successfully and safely climb to the top of a mountain by yourself. You need a team. You need community. But while we are talking about its levels to this, yes, Brianna, while we're talking about its levels to this, we want to acknowledge what's needed at each of those levels. In order to get to the top, you got to think your equipment has to change. And your equipment, and I want to show y'all a picture, and I'm hoping that it shows up on here, but if not, I'm going to describe it to you. But I really want to show you, because I was just like, ooh, this is wonderful and a little scary, God. So there is a particular type of foot on a particular type of animal. Okay. So if you talk about a mountain goat has the ability to walk on the ledges, the edges, the sharp curvatures of rock. You're talking about getting into areas that require a level of agility, that require a level of skill. But before we're talking about acquiring skill and agility and all these other things, know that as you are progressing in your life, when you are progressing, there's a lot of times when we are looking at a mountain and we're like, it's in front of us, we have to climb that. I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. I don't know how I'm supposed to how I'm supposed to reach the surface of that. I don't know how I'm supposed to scale that. I don't know how I'm supposed to get to the top of that. I don't know what that's supposed to look like. And when I look at the edges that I've seen in these photos, I'm like, if I were a person standing in front of that, I would just be like, well, this is as far as we can go. Because some of these surfaces, it's wild. It is wild how these things form in the environments, like how the rock is eroded, how the levels, like let me be very clear. Some of the levels that I'm talking about that you have to step up onto when you are scaling a mountain, when you are scaling a natural mountain, are only as wide as my hands right here. And just so we're clear, I have very small hands. We joke about it in the house all the time. I got baby hands. There's certain things that my hands are just too small to do. Okay, like, so when I go like this, please know we're talking about short fingers here. Okay, look at these baby hands, and I want you to know that some of the ledges that are the only support for your entire body weight would be about as wide as this, or sometimes even shorter. Be only this, and you would have to be able to balance your weight on that and scale that and get up to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Gabby got piano player fingers. Okay, she got piano player fingers. They're normal sized hands, and but she has like dainty long fingers. They're gorgeous and whatever, and I got baby fingers. Not Shaq, just normal. But when they're next to me, anyway, stay focused. So when we're talking about getting onto these ledges, we're talking about getting onto these edges. We're talking about scaling these different areas and reaching these new heights and these new depths. We're talking about you got to grow a different type of spiritual appendage in order to scale the kind of mountain that you're called to. And you are called to it, which means you have to grow it. You have to grow it. I didn't care how I didn't care how my size 10 flat, flat feet is supposed to make it on those tiny edges. Look, I don't know how I don't know how my feet with arches still supposed to make it on them edges. That's not that we're not built for it on the natural side of it, but in the spiritual, you got to grow a different type of appendage in the spirit to be able to scale the kind of mountain that you are called to and that you are expected to scale to get to where you say you want to go. You got to grow a different kind of appendage. And it is not for us to wonder what to do or how we're going to grow it, but Lord gave us a visual. So let's take a look at it. Okay. Let's take a look at it. I want to show you two pictures that sent me. Okay. That sent me. Because I want you to know that a mountain goat is wild. But the visual captures exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Dana said when mountain climbers are climbing mountains around the world, they have a team, but at least one person in their team is from the area. Yes, or used to the mountain they are trying to climb. You need the right persons on your team. Yes, you do. You need the right people on your team. You have to. And you're correct. And some of the people when you say one of the people on their team, at least one of the people on their team, and some of those teams are made up entirely of locals plus the visitors. Like whole teams of locals that come on. You need the right people. But we'll get into it. Okay? Hinds feet. Look at this image right here. Do you see the kind of edge that this mountain goat is having to try and scale? Okay. Do you see the kind of precision? You see the size of the ledge that it needs to get onto? Oh, the next one looks even faker. Please hear me. Hear me. The next one looks even more fake. And I'm disgusted by how real it is. Okay? So let's start there. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The next one, just underneath that, because I specifically was like, no, I want a picture. You want to look at the more fake one? Let's look at the more fake one. This laughable. It's hilarious how fake it looks. It's ridiculous. Do you see the ledges? But also, do you see like the line of them behind? Behind? They're following one another. Up the side of them. That I just it looks like a smooth surface with goats laying on it. Like that's what it looks like. It looks like them just laying there like they got Velcro and they're just like boop, 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 boop. Like that's what I picture in my head. When I see that picture, I'm like, they gotta have Velcro around their bodies. They gotta be like just flinging their shoulders and then just whoop, whoop, whoop. Stay focused, everybody. So when I think about those things and I think about how goats do this on a regular basis, excuse me. They do this on a regular basis. This is standard practice for them. I don't know if this is more visible, but it's kind of it's it's super helpful, but it's also like questionable. Next image is very questionable. I'm not even gonna put it up there. But what I'm saying is that it's a standard practice for them in order to get where they're trying to go. And I would encourage any person that wants to get a gauge for what I'm talking about tonight to pick up the book Hinds Feet in High Places or On High Places. You can get it on Amazon. It's relatively inexpensive. But it's really so good. Oh gosh, it's so good. And that was where I was first introduced to the like getting a better understanding of what it means to need hinds feet to climb into high places. Yes, CC. So it was introduced to me early in 2022. Early 2022 it was introduced to me and by my former pastor, and we walked through that thing. And when I tell you, I saw myself in every single chapter, every single segment, every single lesson. I was like, and it's not for me to see myself, but it is to be like, oh, this is how you want me to see you, Lord. And also, ouch, this is very my business in this book of from these strangers who don't know me from a hole in the wall, but they know people, and God knows people. It is so good. Okay, so in this scenario, they reach a certain point in the book where they have to where the main character has to climb a mountain, and the way that it looks is that it looks like a smooth wall basically, but her guides, there are two guides that the good shepherd has given her. There are two guides, and they're like, oh no, we're not going around. We have to we have to get to the top, and we're not going around. um so we're gonna climb it. And at this point, she's like, I have no idea. She feels about that mountainside the way that we all just felt about that mountainside, looking at the ledge that the goats were on on their back feet, inching their way across the mountainside on a ledge that is smaller than the foot of a goat, smaller than a hind's foot. That is the kind of foot that we're talking about when we say my feet are like hinds feet and made to climb my mountain. They don't have their feet that way for no reason. It's because of where they go, that it's where they have to be able to go, that they are designed for it, that they are created for it, that the Lord thought about where the kind of places that he was going to have to take them in order for them to become to accomplish what he wants them to accomplish, to eat the food that he wants them to eat, for them to have the mating habits that they have, to be able to experience the life that they were designed for. He had to make their feet a very specific way. So a hind's foot is a hoof, a small, a very small hoof. My feet are like hind's feet and made to climb my mountain. May I present to you that the reason why you may be struggling to climb your mountain, and it is yours to climb. Nobody else can climb it for you. No one else can do the work for you to get to exactly where you're trying to get you where you need to go. No one else can do that, right? So you have to be able to do the climbing yourself. And this goes paired together with another affirmation. And I always, when I say this affirmation, I always say them together. But we're focusing on this one tonight. But the second one that goes with it is as my feet are like hinds feet and made to climb my mountain. My mountain is made especially for me. And Gabby has taught on that. Dr. Gibson has taught on that so beautifully, so eloquently, so amazingly. So I'm not going to get into that one, but I always think of the two affirmations together. There are some affirmations that I just think of like they're conjoined twins. When I say one, I say them both. But in this case, I wanted to focus on this one. It stood out to me where there are certain things that we experience, like certain mountains that we have to be able to climb, certain levels that we have to be able to get to. But when we look at the mountain, if we are not intentional in the way that we view that mountain, we'll look at that wall, we'll look at that the surface of it, and be like, I want to go, like from a distance, we'll look at it and be like, I want to go to the top of that mountain. I want to be on the mountaintop. I want to experience the more. I want to be the place of overflow. I want to be at the place where, where God is. And I want to meet God there. And it's going to be this incredible vantage point where I can see everything in the surrounding area for miles and miles and miles, blah, 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 blah. But as we get close, and we start realizing, okay, I'm leaving the valley, which nobody talks about the value of the valley. We don't talk about the value of the valley, but the valley is the only place on a mountain where things can grow. So mountaintops are great and they're necessary moments, but they are not where you can live. You cannot live in the cap of a mountain. Nobody talks about the value of the valley. The value of the valley is such that it is where you would get your regular day-to-day sustenance. It is where you can eat things that you just happen to find, should you know how to forage and not eat things that are poisonous. It is where you will encounter other living people, other animals. It is where you will is where you can build community and keep those, like, you can keep not keep your environment the same, but it is necessary because you cannot grow something when you have moved from the low place, the valley, into the rocky place where you need hinds feet, to the ice cap where the air is thin and you can't live there. Like, you can't, no one, even the people that are local know that you can only stay there for a certain period of time before you have to come down and let your body reset with proper air, with proper food, with proper air pressure. Because it's not just the thinness of it. It's not just the thinness of the air, but it is also the pressure. We are built for a particular type of pressure. If you were to stay at the top of a mountain, your body makeup would fluctuate drastically because your body is made to withstand a certain amount of gravitational pressure that it only gets at the mid to lower sections. The higher up you go, your body is used to pushing back on a certain amount of pressure. When you get to the top of the mountain, you stay up there too long, your body is pushing out and there's nothing to push back on it. We are perfectly balanced on the ground. But in order to ascend to the places that God is taking you, in order for you to experience the more of him, in order for you to experience the like the highest of heights that you say that you want, you got to climb that mountain, which means you have to grow hinds feet. My feet are like hinds feet and made to climb my mountain. It means you're going to have to grow a spiritual appendage that is very unlike what you are used to using to get to where you're going. You are going to have to grow. We are going to have to grow the kind of feet that can go on inches of ground at a time and be able to be stable. They're not up there because they're just fooling around or falling off and falling off. They're not fooling around. They're focusing. They are focused and they are moving, sometimes inch for inch or inch for inch, however you want, however you got to do it, to get across these tiny ledges to get to a landing where they can rest. And then they go up again and they do it again. We have to be able to go through these. When we go through these trials, when we go through the things that we are struggling with, when you think about what is the mountain in your life right now, what is the mountain in your life right now? You don't have to tell me because you're going to write it down in your worthy work. But think about what your mountain is. There are certain levels of climbing that mountain that you can get to the first, maybe several hundred feet. without having to change your clothes or adjust your shoes or, change your plan of action. You can walk up there for several hundred feet, I'm sure. I've never climbed a mountain, so let me just be very clear. But like, you can go a certain distance up before you're like, okay, I need some equipment. It's a little chillier up here. I'm gonna need some better clothes. I'm gonna need something warmer because I'm not down in the bottom anymore. I need to go up a little bit higher. It makes sense that it looks impossible because we are only viewing it of our own capacity. If we grew an adapted appendage, our access and capacity changes. Exactly. If we are growing that spiritual appendage, we are adjusting and we're saying, Lord, give me the ability to adapt to whatever environment you're taking me into so that when I get to the mountain, I am not so intimidated that I am more willing to walk away from what I said I wanted because it looks harder. But I would be adapted to that environment and let me climb up. Show me how to climb up. Show me how to get out of myself, get out of my own way, and let you teach me how to climb, that I would get to where you're saying I'm going, because the Lord doesn't call us to low levels. And also, just so we're clear, we often hear the analogy in churches about how, in churches and in business practices, let me be very clear, that talks about the eagle that TK talked about yesterday, right? Eagles don't make their nests in low places. Eagles make their nests on the rocky mountainsides where there are no other predators, where nothing is going to eat them. So when I think about climbing up that high, climbing up that rocky point, you get out of the green area and now you've hit a rocky area that's like, okay, this is kind of doable. I can, I got the right boots. I can climb up. I got the right boots. I can climb up. There's a certain point that comes where you have to have adapted appendages. You have to add onto your equipment. You have to add onto your toolbox. Like, you have to add on to it because the stuff that wants to kill them can't survive it. Exactly. Anything that would have the boldness to try and kill an eagle would not be able to live there. They would die before they got there. They're not adapted to the environment. They would fall off the side of the mountain. They would fall off the side of the mountain. Um, but we have to add on to our toolbox. It's not just us, putting on our boots and being like, well, I'm gonna put on, I'm gonna put on my hiking boots. Hiking boots are cool for a trail. Hiking boots are cool for the lower hike of the mountain. It's not for the the seemingly smooth ledges of the mountain that you have to ascend and ascend and ascend and ascend and ascend. We have to get out of this mode of thinking that what we have is all we need. Like, it's not that God is not willing to supply. He's going to supply it. He's going to teach you. He's going to give you the tools that you need to get to where you're going. But to think that you're going to ascend a mountain with nothing more than, I don't know, a windbreaker, some jeans, and hiking boots is utterly insane. Okay. And dangerous. So when we talk about ascending, my feet are like Hinds feet and made to climb my mountain. Ask the Lord, like, we have to get in the habit of recognizing that God can give us what we need, but we have got to get out of the mode of thinking that we don't need to ask Him. We have access to everything we need, but we've got to position ourselves to access it. We have to be able to access it. We have to be able to ask for it. We have to be able to say, Lord, I don't know what it is that I need in order to reach this next level, but you do. Show me what it is that I am lacking, and then make me aware of how I need it. At that point, you won't have a choice but to ask. At that point, we won't have a choice. We'll be like, well, Lord, I can't do it without it. So can you give me this? Can you give me hinds feet? Give me hinds feet so that I can climb this mountain, so that I can reach the high places with you, so that I can go to where you're going and not fall behind and not slide down the mountainside and not get lost because we haven't reached the ice cap yet. Give me hinds feet so that when it's time for me to scale these ledges, these challenge places, when it's time for me to get to these places where it's, I'm going into a job that I've never done before. Give me, like, I've never done before, and my work experience overall says I can do this in theory, but give me hinds feet so that I can fill this position well, so that I can serve well, so I can do what I need to do well. You calling in ministry, Lord, give me hinds feet. Because as you call us up the mountaintop, I know that there is going to be stuff that there are going to be rocks that slip. There are going to be support areas that buckle underneath us. There are going to be things that stand in our way. There will be trees planted and right in our line of sight, and we're going to have to figure out how to navigate around them without losing our footing. Like, there are going to be obstacles that will be divine invitations, and we will have to learn how to climb this mountain. And it sounds like this obscure thing, right? It sounds obscure. And I don't want to talk to y'all in just feel good language, because we're talking about doing the worthy work of undoing in order to become. So when we're talking about hinds feet made to climb my mountain, my feet are like hinds feet and made to climb my mountain. We've already established that you know what the mountain in your life is. What is that thing that you find insurmountable, that without the help of the Lord, you will not be able to scale, that you will not be able to get over, that you will not be able to reach the top of? What is it? What is your mountain? What is your mountain? Identify your mountain or mountains. Identify your mountain. Okay? And when you think about that mountain, we're then going to talk about what it takes to get there. And those steps to where you are trying to get to the top of that mountain, that is where the hinds feet are developed. What do you need in order to climb your mountain? Because it is yours to climb and there's no getting around it. Okay? So identify your mountain, and then identify the ledges, the steps, all of the steps that lead to the height of your mountain. You're like, all of that is where you develop your hinds feet. That is where you develop your hinds feet. Your feet will adapt. If you think about a person who lives in, say, the rainforest, there are people that, now granted, there's fewer villages that live in the rainforest, but you got to think about how their bodies have adapted to their environment. They don't wear shoes. They don't wear shoes, which means their feet are adapted to the ground, the branches, the slippery branches that have fallen, all of these things. You got to go over it and not around. Yes. A yes, Dana. Um, their feet are adapted. Their feet are adapted to their environment. If you think about the environment that you live in, your feet are adapted to your environment right now. Your feet are adapted to your environment right now. It's the reason why if you spend a lot of time barefoot and on hardwood floors, you will develop a hard ridge around the outside of your heel. It's an adaptation. It's your body's way of acclimating to the environment that you are in. So when you think about going up higher and changing your environment and changing the people that are around you and taking the right people with you, it requires a team for you to get up there. And as you go up with your team, you will adapt your equipment, your tools, your feet so that you are able to ascend safely and correctly and not be harmed. We are designed to adapt to our environment. We are. That's the reason why your fingers get wrinkly in the shower is because too much water in your fingers means that they get wrinkly so that you are able to better grip things. It's not just the, oh, I got wrinkly because it's too much water or I stayed in the water too long and now, skin is weird. No, it's an adaptation. You spent a lot of time in the water, your fingers got wrinkly, now you're and your sensations in your fingers are more they're adapted to that environment. So you can tell the difference between when you're touching seaweed and when you're touching sand better than you could when your fingertips were smooth on dry land. Yes, like dancers' feet, they grow calluses and hard spots and their toes change shape and there are hard spaces when they like ballerinas that are in point shoes. They specifically ask to keep like if they go and get a pedicure, they specifically ask to keep that you do not shave down their calluses. They need them for protection because of the type of work that they do. They need them for protection. So when we talk about developing hinds feet, if it's going to take you developing a spiritual hoof for you to make it up that mountain, you can't lop it off because it's abnormal to you. You need that. You can't decide, oh, that's weird and I don't want it to look like that. I don't want it to feel like that. I don't want it to be like that. Like, they have to be there. Beautiful ballerinas have ugly feet. They do. They have to have calloused feet to dance gracefully. They do. Otherwise, they will hurt themselves. They will hurt themselves. And so when we think about going up our mountain, we're talking about, developing hinds feet and we're going up the mountainside. We're climbing our mountain and we've decided that we're not quitting and we've decided that we're not going around it, that we've decided that we're not going to give up and we're not going to go back to where we came from. Because that's really what it is. If we say that we are not willing to, they don't realize what it costs to feed. Yes, we see the beautiful dance of the ballerinas. We don't realize the cost that it took for them to develop what they needed in order to do it safely. God is not calling you to a place where he's looking to destroy you. He's looking to bring you to a place where you can get there with him safely and that you would not go there in isolation. So everybody is developing their hinds feet as they ascend as a team, as they ascend together, those guides are like, hey, at this point, you're going to want to take out this equipment. All right, we're on our way up. At this point, you're going to want to add this adaptation to your shoes. You're going to want to add this adaptation to your climbing gear. You're going to want to add this adaptation. Like, it's a natural process. And when we think about climbing Mount Everest, we're like, yeah, obviously there are certain levels that you are going to go to, and especially after this unfiltered December, we do this and it's not just, oh, it's the finale of the year. Yes, it's the finale of the year. It's our finale event of the year and the baseline that started it all, but it's also a catalyst for you to go into your new year. We are offering you 31 days worth of adaptations to your toolbox for you to be able to climb your mountain successfully and safely, and to be able to identify community and safety for that journey. It is a finale and a catalyst at the same time. You are both closing out 2023 and also launching into 2024. It is both a finale and a catalyst. You have to have your team with you. And let me say it very plainly. If you are going into a season of if you find yourself leaning into a season of isolation, I cast that down in the name of Jesus Christ. Where God is taking you does not require isolation. It may cause a separation for a season, but it does not call you into isolation. It does not call you into traveling up the mountainside alone. That is how the enemy tricks us into choosing that we just gonna die. Yes, isolated climbers are more likely to die. Yes, because they're not adapted. Isolated climbers are usually alone because they're not from there and they think they can do it. They don't know the terrain. They don't know the environment. They don't know the work it takes. They don't have the tools. They have no one to tell them when to add the adaptations to their tools, or add the adaptations to their feet or to their hands, or to add an extra layer over their ears so that they don't get frostbite. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know. So you take your team with you. You all develop your hinds feet at various points in times, because some people are native to the area. Some of them have lived there before. That is your elders. That is your people that have gone before you, that have spiritual maturity. Those that have gone into these places, your work environments, where if you need a work mentor, they are the guides. They are the team. Okay? They are the team. Don't get so caught up in the fact that you just want to go where you're going, that you miss the fact that people develop their hinds feet either together, as we're all going there at the same time. This is all our first time, but we have a couple of guides, and so we're all developing our hinds feet at the same time. Or you have those that are native to that area. They've been to the heavenly places. They've experienced the overflow. They know what it is to know the provision of God in a place, in a desert place. They know what it is to be able to draw water out of the ground, and how to pull from your resources, and how to eat what's safe and reject what's not, and how to take in what's good for you. It's all of those things. Do not reject the team to get to the mountaintop. It's not that it's utterly impossible, but it is highly unlikely. It is majority unlikely that we would make it to the top of the mountain in isolation and be well. Because you can make it up there and then die at the peak. You need a team. You need to develop. Your body needs to adapt. Your spirit, your heart, your mind needs to adapt the entire way. So we go along together. I saw a comment that I wanted to. We all develop our hinds feet together, and some are more adapted than others. Some have been there before. They adapted before you did, and it's okay. It's not that you're not going to grow. It's not that you're not going to reach where they are, and it's not that they're not going to continue to grow. They are going to continue to grow. They will continue to adapt to their new environment. It takes training to climb, to ascend and descend a mountainside. It takes just as much work and provision and precision to descend the mountain and get back to the place where things are now growing again, where we get back into the valley and and things are growing and it's hard, but it's growing. Like, it takes just as much work. It takes just as much training and expertise and skill and intentionality to be able to healthily descend the mountain into the place where you can rest and grow again. Like, anyway, this affirmation is good to me. And I could talk about it all night because there's so many different elements, so many different ways to come at this affirmation, but we're going to leave it where it is right now. And I pray that this gave you some insight into what your journey is, what it needs in order for you to grow, what it needs in order for you to become what you are trying to, where you're trying to go, where you're trying to become. And we say, oh, I want to be XYZ. That means you have to become XYZ. And in order to become, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to your environment. I heard that scaling Everest, when you are ascending closer to the top, you may find frozen bodies of those who were ill prepared and met demise. That's dark, but it's real. Let's be wise and equipped and trust the Lord in our process. Absolutely, amen, and yes. We have to adapt. You can't say, I want to be this, and then you just wake up one day and are. This is not Freaky Friday. This is not this is not a movie. Sometimes life be like a novella, okay? It be dramatic, but it's not a movie. You don't just go to sleep one night and wake up the next day as a completely different person with completely different skill set. You have to grow those things. You have to adapt those things. Your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit have to adapt to become what you say you want to become. When you say you want to be a prayer warrior, that means that you're going to have to adapt those hinds feet to be able to sustain to be able to sustain a healthy prayer life for yourself. Build relationship. You say you want to be, and you want reconciliation in your family, adapt and decide that you are going to be the reason why things are different. I just had to go through that very thing, that exact thing today. And it was so uncomfortable and scary, but I'm adapting because I know what I want. I know the kind of family I want. And I don't want to perpetuate old cycles. So I have to adapt. I have to adapt. You have to adapt. We have to adapt to where God is taking us. Becoming is in the undoing. We have to undo what and how we are used to functioning in order to adapt to our next. Yes. So, your worthy work, your assignment, your challenge for this affirmation is to identify your mountain or mountains. Identify your mountains. Then identify the steps that it takes to successfully scale that. In doing those things, you will find yourself adapting. You will find yourself, you will find your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit, and your body, depending on what your mountain is, adapting and changing so that you can be able to scale that thing. Because you have to scale it. We said it already. You have to scale it. There's no going around your mountain. There's no deciding on another route and deciding you're just not going to ascend it. You can choose not to climb your mountain. You're just choosing another mountain, and it's usually harder. And ask for backup if you're unsure the next step. Yes. Ask for backup. That's why you have a team. When Allison gave us our worthy work for day 4 and told us to identify like what does it look like for us, for accountability for us, and to tap into your community, this is also that. Tap into your community. Select people that can hold you accountable. This is in the same vein. It all works together. Okay? It all works together. Get yourself a team of people, a community of people that you trust. Get you some brothers, get you some sisters, get you some people that you trust, and build yourself a team of people that can call you out on your mess and help you to adapt and call you up higher when you're ready to quit and tell you to pace yourself when you are outrunning, when you are leaving the team behind because you think you know what's best on your own. Get you a team. Get you a team. All right. That's that on that. You have your worthy work, you have your assignment, and we are going to wrap up for tonight, and we will see you tomorrow for day 7. We will see you tomorrow for day 7. Have an amazing, amazing night. I love you so, so much. Have yourself an amazing night. And I don't know, do something nice for yourself tonight, whether that is tapping into your rest, getting into your worthy work, whatever you got to do. Okay? But we will see you tomorrow. Bye.